When we talk about, for example, the disappearance of Amber Costello, which, all of these in the Gilgo 4 are interesting within themselves. But this information, it seemed, was available and the investigators didn't use it. This is on page 7 of the bail application. Amber Costello was last seen alive on September 2nd, 2010, leaving her residence at 1112 American Avenue in West Babylon during the late evening hours. At that time, she was believed to be working as a sex worker. On September 1st, 2010, the day prior to the disappearance of Amber Costello, Ms. Costello's cell phone was contacted by a burner cell phone. On September 1st, 2010, this burner cell phone had communications with the Costello phone at approximately 11:33 p.m. and 11:34 p.m. During those communications, the burner cell phone connected to cell towers in West Amityville and Massapequa Park. Thereafter, the burner cell phone traveled to West Babylon in proximity to the residence of Amber Costello and had contact with the Costello phone at approximately 12:05 a.m. on September 2nd, 2010. According to witnesses, around the time of these communications between the burner cell phone and the Costello phone on September 1st to 2nd, 2010, a prostitution client showed up at Miss Costello's residence located in West Babylon, New York. After the client entered the home, a ruse was executed on the client, whereby a person pretended to be the outraged boyfriend of Amber Costello, and the client left the residence while Amber Costello retained the money the client had brought to pay for her services. Based upon interviews, that client was described as a large white male, approximately 6'4" to 6'6" in height, in his mid-40s, with dark bushy hair and big oval-style 1970s type eyeglasses. A witness described him to police as appearing like an ogre. Furthermore, a witness noticed a first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche parked in the driveway of the residence. According to the witnesses, following the ruse, this client said he was just her friend. Tell her I'll give her a call, and walked out the front door. Thereafter, at approximately 1:18 a.m. on September 2nd, after the ruse had been perpetrated, the burner cell phone sent a text message to the Costello phone, which stated, "That was not nice, so do I get a credit for the next time?" Phone records show that the burner phone was located in Massapequa Park within 2 minutes of this text message being sent. According to witnesses, later the next day, on September 2nd, 2010, Ms. Costello was again contacted by the same client that was in the house the night before with the avalanche. Further, Amber told us that he wanted to see her again, but he didn't want to come back to the house because of her boyfriend. Thereafter, on September 2nd, 2010, at approximately 9:32 p.m., the same burner cell phone from the previous evening again communicated with the Costello phone. During this communication, the burner cell phone used a cell site location in Midtown Manhattan. Following this communication and based upon the cell site records, the burner cell phone traveled to Massapequa Park and had contacts with the Costello phone at approximately 10:39 p.m. and 11:05 p.m. Cell site records for the burner phone indicate that approximately 11:17 p.m. the phone traveled to West Babylon in proximity to the residence of Amber Costello. Subsequently, Amber Costello left her own cell phone behind, walked out the front door of the residence, and was seen alive for the last time. Shortly after Ms. Costello left the house, a witness observed a dark-colored truck pass the house, specifically coming from the direction Amber had walked towards. Incidentally, records established that defendant Heuermann's wife was out of New York for the disappearances of Bartolome, Waterman, and Costello. Significantly, travel records show that on July 8, 2009, defendant Heuermann's wife departed the United States for Iceland. On August 18, 2009, defendant Heuermann's wife returned to the United States. Consequently, defendant Heuermann's wife was out of the country at the time of Melissa Bartolome's disappearance. Based upon cellular telephone billing records on June 4, 2010, the cellular telephone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife traveled from New York to Maryland. On June 8, 2010, the cellular telephone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife returned to New York from Maryland. Consequently, based upon cellular telephone records, the cellular telephone subscribed to by defendant Heuermann's wife was out of New York State during the time of Megan Waterman's disappearance. So all of these obviously are not coincidental. What he was doing is specifically modus operandi, and it appeared that he did this with just about all the defendants. And the craziness and the sickness that make him a sexual sadistic serial killer is that he used these cell phones not just to call, but to taunt the family members of his victims. That is also indicative and behavioral of a serial killer. And that was what Rex Heuermann was all about. He was a sexual sadistic serial killer.
Indicated to me that apart from the 3 homicides that have been charged to Mr. Heuermann, that he feels they're in a pretty good place to perhaps move to charges on the 4th homicide involving Ms. Brainerd Barnes.
We attached 3 of the bodies that were discovered to Rex Heuermann. We're looking very good regarding the 4th one, Brendan Barnes, and we will continue to work hard to see what we could do to attach these other unidentified bodies that were discovered on Ocean Parkway.
It seemed to me when he said we're in a pretty good place, it was an indication to me that they're moving closer to developing enough probable cause to finally nail down the charge. They have a couple of things going on that are taxing the work of the task force. They have to provide for discovery requirements for the defense. So the people who are on the task force are charged with doing that. The other 2 people who are brought in are going to be mining the other cases that have not been charged, Valerie Mack in particular and Karen Vergata, to see what can be developed about their histories and also about any other unidentified human remains that have been found on the island that may give rise to suspicion that in some way they may be linked to Mr. Heuermann or somebody else. Well, the commission...
So pretty amazing, right? This is what they reported this when they made the arrest months ago. So how organized were they? How confident? How much did they have the evidence necessary to make this announcement that they're going to make? Well, they're making it almost. It's being leaked to the press. But Rex Heuermann is going to be told Tuesday when he appears in court, guess what? You're now charged with a 4th murder. And his attorney, Mr. Brown, who's by all talk is a outstanding attorney. He's got his hands full, representing Rex Heuermann in this case. There he is, the man living that dual life of a seemingly suburban house husband, an accountant with his own business in Manhattan by day, and a sexual sadistic serial killer by night. And all we've spoken about all the twists and turns. That's his wife that we see on the screen, Asa Ellerup, with her attorney, Robert Macedonio. Just recently, they had announced that she was going to do a documentary on this. And many people were quite upset about that. A documentary outlining, this case as it moves forward. And it's upsetting, especially to the families of the victims we see on the screen. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, of course, reported missing from Norwich, Connecticut on July 2007. And that is the case they're going to talk about Monday and Tuesday. And when Rex shows up in court on Tuesday, he's going to be indicted for a 4th murder. The victims known as the Gilgo 4, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartolome, Amberlynn Costello, and Megan Waterman. And may God rest all their souls. May we sympathize with their families.